Hi, this is Kenneth Wong, Senior Editor for DE. People working in 3D printing or additive manufacturing tend to use the STL file format to send and exchange print geometry. But the new 3MF format is starting to pick up momentum. It's an open format first, initially spearheaded by a few insiders from HP, Microsoft, and Autodesk, and then from then on, it grew. Last week, 3MF Consortium announced it's joining the Linux Foundation, becoming an open standard project under its umbrella. Today, we're speaking with Luis Baldez, 3MF's newly appointed Executive Director. Luis, welcome. Would you describe your role in the consortium itself?
So the whole consortium started in 2014 with a few companies that we were all confronted by the same problem. How do we make sure that the data that goes across 3D printers and the 3D modeling software, how do you make that more reliable? How do you make that more interoperable? And that same desire was shared by other companies who struggle with that every day. And that's why we decided to join forces. And, it's been almost 6 years now pushing forward this new specification and adoption.
How does the fact that 3MF Consortium joining Linux Foundation, how does it affect software and hardware developers who are supporting this format? Are there any concrete benefits for them?
Absolutely. Linux Foundation is the home of probably the most successful open source projects in the world. I mean, it started with the Linux kernel itself, an operating system. Nowadays, it hosts a variety of new technologies that really could only scale when you had massive adoption by developers, and they had a community or a place where they can gather and improve the specification and adoption. The 3MF is planning to leverage all that expertise from the Linux Foundation. They have a lot of people that really knows how to engage with developers, how to build communities, how to build an ecosystem of innovation that in the end ultimately will drive more adoption. Another benefit that I think is important to highlight is when we started, because we had Microsoft as one of the founding members, there was always a bit of hesitance from the user community to support a file that was, sponsored by Microsoft, but I think they really changed in the last years. They've come to accept and actively support open source projects like this one, and I think making it part of Linux Foundation really is a commitment to remain open source for now and until and the long term.
Very good. My guess is that the STL file format is here to stay for quite some time. I know a lot of people have good things to say about 3MF, but it seems like a lot of people are not ready to simply walk away from STL yet. So what's your vision, Luis? Do two formats coexist for a long time, or does one format gradually overtake the other one?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So the STL has been around since 1987. Okay, so it's been quite a long time. And people in the industry do acknowledge that 3MF is a more complete technical specification and a better suited format for the 3D printing applications. But what we're learning is that it takes time. There's an inertia that we have to overcome for people to switch to these new workflows and new data formats. The way I see it in the future is that if you go to your PC today, you still support a .txt file, right? It's a pretty plain text. Mm-hmm. And with that, you could write your CV, you could write an HTML page or a full book. But in practice, nobody does that anymore because there are better tools that are better suited for these new applications. So if you're going to write a book or a web page, nobody uses TXT as a format. They will use something else. So I think it might be that in the future STL and 3MF will coexist. They will live in the same operating system, let's say. But what we're pushing for, and that's actually my primary objective for this consortium, is that the community uses the 3MF as the primary data format for 3D printing applications. And 3MF supports a wide range of capabilities that STL doesn't have. And we can, if you want to know more, I recommend the audience to go to our website, 3mf.io. We'll go step by step showing what are the main differences there. But in essence, it's just more ready for the 3D printing applications. When you think about colors, multiple materials, lattice structures, multi-materials, these are the things that 3MF supports natively, and it would take a lot of work to make STL support that. My vision is that people just forget about STL and everything just works with 3MF pretty transparently.
Okay. Our magazine readers use a lot of CAD and simulation software. In the beginning, it seems it's a bit of a struggle to try to design something that you want to produce using additive manufacturing. Has there been any progress on that front?
Yeah, absolutely. When I started in 3D printing, it was more than 10 years ago. I started to learn about what are the things you could do with 3D printing that you could not do with traditional manufacturing methods, such as injection molding or machining or stamping. And with 3D printing, you can do, multiple materials, lattice structures, lightweight geometries. And when you go back to how you need to represent those designs, at the core of the CAD systems, the CAD kernels are actually quite limited. They assume that every single object is single material, single texture, with a finite geometry that can be described with Boolean, and it fundamentally limits what you can design. So I've started reaching out to these CAD companies right in the beginning of my work in 3D printing to really understand, hey guys, you need to improve this. You're limiting what the hardware can do. And I've had conversations really with the market leaders, including Siemens, Dassault, PTC, Autodesk. And back then it sounded very theoretical because the 3D printing wasn't a small market. It was still a kind of a small new market. But nowadays, I think the situation has changed a lot. I think from an awareness perspective, 3D printing is being really considered a viable manufacturing technology, but it requires new design tools, better design and simulation tools to be able to get to the benefits that you want. And therefore, I think that all the CAD players realize that, and you will see in the last couple of years, they've announced a lot of new features specifically to create new designs for 3D printing. Topology optimization, lightweighting, multi-material modeling, thermal simulations, all these things that are critical to get good 3D printed parts. And now they also started to export all that data into 3MF format. So if you go to your CAD today, most likely you already have an export as 3MF button there that you can use, and it's ready to go to production as it is today. It wasn't like that 3 years ago, but in the last couple of years, the industry is really making a shift.
Very good. Luis, thank you very much for sharing your time with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to continue our conversations in future opportunities.
All right, this is Kenneth Wong for DE, and we are out until next episode.